Hello, friends. This is Dave Hurwitz, executive editor at ClassicsToday.com, here with Dave's Faves. And today I want to talk to you about what I think is the most glorious French violin sonata ever written, after Franck's, of course. I am speaking of Albéric Magnard. Boy, is this an epic piece of music. You know, Magnard is getting something of a reputation now because of his symphonies, of which I have already spoken and will speak further anon, believe you me. But he also wrote magnificent chamber music, really beautiful chamber music. And his chamber music is as big and beefy as his symphonies are. Now, some of you may know, Magnard died very interestingly during the First World War. He barricaded himself in his ancestral home and staged a one-man defense against the German invasion of France. And as a result of that, they blew him up in his own home, or at least they blew up the house, and presumably he died in it. I don't know if they even ever found him. And so he perished at a fairly young age. His dates were 1865 to 1914. So he was young. He was, 49? Is that what that adds up to? Something like that? Yeah, 35 plus 4, 49. And he was really an enormously gifted composer. But he was, the whole war must have been terribly painful to him because of all of the French composers of his time, that turn of the century time, he was the most German. I mean, in terms of his musical sensibilities, in terms of his idealism, his belief in the symphonic ideal, in the noble, moral, purifying power of music. I mean, he was just the very opposite of fin de siècle decadence. Totally. He was a noble character. His operas are that way, and so is his music. And this violin sonata is epic. It's 40 minutes long, good 40 minutes long. Little longer in some performances. And on this marvelous CPO disc, it comes with his piano trio, which is just as big and just as grand. That's 36 minutes long or so. I mean, these are symphonic pieces, big, meaty, yummy chamber music that you can really sink your ears into. Or whatever teeth your ears have. It's really extraordinary, and I can play you a little bit of this actually. These works are all in the Franck/Dandy school. That is big works in cyclical form with motto themes that come back, in each movement. But they're 4-movement works. I mean, they're just huge. Magnard wrote fabulous scherzos. Usually, he just called them something like in the symphonies, danse or dance. And that's what they were. But they have trio sections which are unbelievably catchy. And this one is no exception. It's very, very characteristic of his style of scherzo writing, even in the symphonies. So I want to play you a bit of the scherzo of the violin sonata. In this magnificent performance with Geneviève Laurenceau, violin, and Oliver Triendl, piano. And in the trio, for cello, it's Maximilian Hornung. They're really good players. Really good. The violin sonata has been recorded now about 4 or 5 times. But this performance, I think, probably is the best of them. It's really first class. Absolutely first class. So let's take a moment and let's just listen to the scherzo of the Magnard violin sonata, the first 2 minutes or so of it anyway. It's a tiny little movement. But the opening, the main body of the scherzo and the trio section, it's just fabulous. Here it is. Ain't that something? When was the last time you heard a violin sonata that sounded anything like it? There isn't one, I'm telling you. Of course, this wonderful violin sonata, 40 minutes in length, does commit the unpardonable sin of large instrumental pieces. It ends quietly, but so poetically and so inevitably, and the rightness of that ending is incontrovertible. It's really perfect for, listening at home, where you can really just, come to grips with it and take your time and let it soak in, because it's a very vigorous, somewhat gnarly piece in a lot of ways. But boy, that scherzo just blew me away the first time I heard it. And I hope it does the same to you. So once again, that was Geneviève Laurenceau violin, Oliver Triendl piano on CPO in the Magnard Violin Sonata. A glorious work, one of my favorite chamber works by anybody of any period, for any reason. So keep on listening, my friends. Thank you so much for joining me. Take care.